What screams pretending to be upper class? Floating entrepreneur on any social media platform bio. When I see this I always think to myself, say you're unemployed. If they had built a business worth something, they would have written that you worked there. The fact that they say entrepreneur means they just have ideas and like to fantasize about doing something with them. Talking down to working class people. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely snooty asshole upper class people, however in my interactions with them as a working class person in services they've always been extremely nice. My guess is because we both know who we are in society, so there are no pretensions. Fake upper class people have to completely reinforce the class divide. It had to be absolutely clear that they are and always have been above you. Part of me thinks it's resentment at what they might have used to have been, and the other part thinks it's how they think other upper class people behave. Talking about possessions. Slipping dollar amounts into conversations. Act like you've been there before. So you're saying I shouldn't brag about my favorite $7 boots that I bought at a thrift store? Wearing brand clothes that have the huge name of the brand on them. I used to work in one of the brand stores and these were literally made for the lower class that wants to show off. The more expensive and higher quality items never had this flexing on them. As a poor, I've noticed that less is more when it comes to casual fashion. I used to be concerned about how I looked dressed when going to a high-end retailer. Now I simply don't care. If they won't serve me when wearing jeans, then I'll just go somewhere else. You all work on commission, right? Big mistake. Huge. I have to go shopping now. Edit. Thank you so much for my first gold. My ex comes from a really, well, kinda ducked up family. Her dad is a multimillionaire who cheated on her mom and wound up leaving. And was by all accounts not a great husband, father, or man. But after he left, my ex's mom became a professional alimony hound. She never got a high school diploma and worked part-time as a hairdresser, but was a single mom in a house that must have been worth $1 million plus. It was clear based on the way she spoke that she was living paycheck to paycheck on gross child support and alimony checks, funding a lifestyle that would disappear completely if something happened to her ex-husband. Her home is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Multiple formal dining rooms, mismatched hardwood furniture everywhere. For some reason every TV is hidden in a closed closet, etc. But the weirdest ducking thing, is that there are no clocks in the house. 25 mirrors. There's not a spot in the home where you can't find your reflection. But you never know what time it is. I'm not sure if that's a direct answer to the question, but I thought it was related. Buying expensive clothes, or fake ones, and owning a high-end phone, but you stretch your budget to do this in order to make it seem like you can afford excess when you really can't. And then not getting those expensive clothes tailored. If you are gonna buy the fancy clothes, spend the extra $sign to make sure they actually fit. Damn it. Posting pictures of your fancy cars and house renovations, shoes, etc. on social media. Real rich people don't actually have to scream I'm rich to be rich. Most people do that for the attention and views, not because they are rich. Pronouncing your name bouquet, obligatory edit. Thank you mysterious benefactors. The bouquet residents, the lady of the house speaking. Knock off luxury brand anything, usually watches, bags, wallets, clothes. There are plenty of respectable, elegant things that look and work just as well. You're not tricking us, and you're not tricking them, the people who swim in those lanes all the time. I was once traveling through Seoul and needed a belt. I just bought the first random belt I saw being sold by an old lady in a subway station. It had a green and red stripe, which kind of matched the highlights on the jacket I was wearing. Fast forward 5 years and I still wear the belt frequently. Best $5 I ever spent. However, my first day of teaching all my students started calling me out for my Gucci belt. I genuinely had no idea. I couldn't identify Gucci patterns or branding if I tried. So, for years I was accidentally rocking some cheap, knockoff name brands. Talking about how expensive everything you have is and how much money you have. I've found that truly wealthy people don't feel compelled to talk about it constantly. Jeff Lowe. If gas station boner pills were a person. Moving to LA despite not being able to afford living there. They should try acting. I hear that's a racket. Big mansions without curtains or furniture in the upstairs. Curtains are ducking expensive, bro. In the high-end world they are referred to as draperies. Edit. Alright all you smarty pants saying window treatments. My comment was replying to one where someone said curtains. All draperies are window treatments, but not all window treatments are curtains. Checkmate. Definitely buying cars you can't afford. I'm solidly middle class and drive a Ford Focus. Don't buy one. They're shit. And a lot of people I work with that make less than I do roll in driving big expensive trucks or Mercedes cars. If I can't afford that, I know they can't. $5,000 purse with no money in it. $2,000 bag with no cash in your purse. Kanye. Now you sitting courtside. Pack of Charmin mega rolls in each bathroom. Well dang. No need to call me out here. I am really fond of my Charmin. So far this is the only thing that applies to me. Simply talking about money and how much things cost is way to brag and show others your wealth. I grew up fairly close to my cousin. He's 6 months older than me and his family, and they are what I consider to be truly wealthy. My uncle was a very well respected dentist who built his practice up from nothing over a 30-year period. He retired in the last 5 years. My uncle grew up in a dirt poor farming family and never flaunted his wealth when he became wealthy. He didn't buy a new sports car every year. He still drives the same sports car he bought 15 years ago. He didn't wear flashy designer clothes. He still wears expensive clothes though. And you'd never know he was a millionaire if you passed him in the street. He owns properties all over the province for hunting and net worth reasons. Owns a mansion in the Bahamas on the beach and takes trips to Europe yearly. You wouldn't know any of those things unless you knew him on a personal level. On the other side of my family I have an uncle that would be considered upper middle class. He always had to have the fanciest toys, the newest models, etc, and everything was as a competition to him. My parents bought a new Cadillac before they retire and of course he had to purchase one as well. Except it had to be better. So he bought a CTSV within a month of my parents so he could be better than my parents. He also has to brag about his traveling, telling us of the fun he had in Vegas last week, the exciting trip to Mexico he's taking next and so on. In my experience there's two types of wealthy. There is the truly wealthy class who are humble people that make smart decisions with their money and don't treat it like a competition. And there is the faux wealthy class who have to try and flaunt their wealth in the face others as a way of keeping score and ensuring that they are perceived as winning. I work at an exotic car rental branch. I have plenty of customers that rent our cars and ask us to take the tags off the keyring. Understandable. Then I have some that insist they get the same license plate each time and will flip out if I give them the same model as usual but with the plate 1 digit off. They're trying to make the appearance to whoever that they own the car and get themselves in a trap where they have to keep renting to keep up the illusion. That charade never lasts long. 20 dudes who pooled their money to pay for one bottle service table at a Vegas club. Source was one of those dudes. Getting married in a big fat wedding by taking out loans, borrowing from friends, plus getting super expensive rings when you can't afford 1 out of 10 of it. Struggling to scrape together the minimum payments on a luxury car. Jeff Lowe. I read today he had to sell his Ferrari in order to pay bills on that zoo he still owns. When people act all rich but they've never even staged a South American coup for better tax rates on their fruit plantations. Constantly altering your pink Chanel suit to fit in at a country club. For once, maybe someone will call me so without adding you're making a scene. We don't get anything that scream pretending to be upper class in Australia at the moment, thanks to our mining sector. At the height of the boom, someone could leave high school, get some tickets, and pretty much walk into a 6-figure job on the mines. So the young man driving around in an expensive muscle car while covered in tattoos, slabs of beer in the back, may not be pretending, but could be a cub, cashed up bogan. Same in the US with oil fields. I had several friends from here in Seattle that went to the Dakotas and got really high paying jobs, then blew it all on expensive cars. Shopping in the curtains aisle of Walmart and openly declaring to me, an employee trying to zone, that we have no taste. I wish employees were allowed to sass back at stuff like that. We took the wheels off our double wide and bought plastic paneling that looks like bricks. That is just sensible curb appeal. My uncle and his wife are perfect examples. They bought a brand new Mercedes that they can't afford, live in a house that's too big for them, bought a caravan in a park where the ground rental is nearly $50,000 a year. They bought their kids expensive ass bikes that were never used, and what did they use to pay for all this? If you guessed credit cards, then you are correct. Credit cards and loans from my grandmother which they will never pay back. Then they make fun of my mother and I for being working class. Might as well spit on my grandfather's grave since he was working class through and through. Edit. I got the cost of the caravan rental wrong by $10,000. It's $5,000 for the ground rental and they rent the caravan from the site for $35,000. So the total is $40,000. This was my bad. And my grandmother actually cleared this up for me. Edit 2. As someone pointed out, this number is apparently sus. I'm just going off what I was told. Throwing parties every week and calling everyone old sport. One of my husband's best friends comes from a filthy rich family. Think billions. We went to his wedding a few years ago and the social experiment that ensued was beyond fascinating. The guests themselves were a mix of anyone from broke college kids, us, to doctors, to millionaires and billionaires. Some trends definitely emerge amongst the people who were obviously self-conscious about their wealth though. They were frequently dismissive, and sometimes downright rude, to the serving staff. They made sure logos of their belongings were plainly in sight. Your hotel room is literally connected to the reception venue, so I know you didn't need to bring your $1,200 Canada Goose parka to dinner. They also made sure to talk loudly about their expensive plans for the future and highlighting any wealth-related attributes in the process. Oh well, my girlfriend is graduating medical school next year, so we're starting to look at houses, mostly in the $800,000 $1 million range. It was a stark contrast against the people who were comfortable with their social status, wealthy or otherwise, who were all just happy to be there, having fun, drinking alcohol and wholly unworried about which stranger they'll never meet again knows how much money they wish they had. Edit. Is complaining about how expensive homes are in big cities in Australia a thing? Like, we all know decent housing is expensive in big cities across the globe, right? We also all know that the vast majority of new college grads cannot afford $1 million home right off the bat, right? Best comment of the day. For real, I met a girl in elementary school, very funny and cool, would joke with anyone, and did good in school. To me she seemed part of the popular group. We were together in classes till high school, where I got to know her better, and became best friends. Later on, until I was observant enough, I realized she was wealthy, like very wealthy, and I wasn't even sure at first cause it was only suspicion coming from different stuff I sometimes caught up on. A friend found about it too, and both of us were shocked, as she didn't seem like it. She was just your cool friend. She didn't show off brands, or talked about fancy restaurants or trips. I even told her about me thinking she was part of the populars in elementary and middle school, and she couldn't believe it as she never felt like it. She even said that the money she had wasn't hers but her dad's, was very thankful for him working so hard, and wanted to make both his parents proud for giving her all she had. Truly humble, respectful and caring. We are still best friends now in college.